So this is Baruch here. Take an elevator call, and we're moving to the next piece in the Shara Kavanas, which is the Drush base on the Amida. That's called the Birchei the Avos. He calls it Avos because it really deals mostly with the Birchei Avos. Let's look over here. This is not, well, it's not drawing a big audience. But for me, it's really important because to be able to pray properly, you have to know what's going on around you in the prayer, not only what's inside of the prayer. So it said, "V'nevayer ata inyan aliyas teishes spheres elo shel nekeva." So as we reproach that is the malchim, the mayim nukvim coming from below, is going through the Pesuka de Zimra and the Karbanos and then Pesuka de Zimra, and then it's going to Yotzer, and finally it's at the Kachi Kachim of the very top Hechel in Olam Abriya, pushing into its Silus, and that what's the right word? The bridge between the two is the phrase Hash Adni Sfasai Tifto. That phrase, Adni usually refers to Malchus, so open up your mouth and come in. So here, let's see what he says. I think I got to go like this. Where am I? Here. He said, "B'nevoyer ata inyan aliyas teisha spheres elu shel nekeva." So let's talk about the elevation, the 9 spheres of the nekeva, which we say go down into Bria, into the Eichel Kachim of Bria at nighttime. And the Nikros ata atzilenu. Derek Stam B'Shem, that is by us. He says it's by name Derek Stam B'Shem Malchus de Chatzilus. It's also known by that name. So it's a V'zeh Hechli, I'm beginning. Okay, so I'm beginning this, and we'll see what he says. Let's see what the typical Kavanu says on this. He says number Mem Aleph, so I gotta turn the page. Maskil Levayer Ata es Aliyas HaTesha Malchios, the Tesha Spheres, the Nook, Shenizmata B'Yarda the Bria. So this is our Indian. Is that the Nook has 10 spheros, Kesser is not affected, and the other 9 spheros, their Malchios go down into Olam Abriya. So he says, this is explained, but Malchus, she read as the Bria, that Malchus. Gavanarak, the Malchios, the Tesha Spheres, is really only talking about the Malchios specific Sphera of Sphera. Of the Tesha Spheres of these are the Malchios of those 9 Spheres, but the Zerah Derek stop. Malchus the Chatzilus, so therefore that's the reason why it's called in general, this is the Malchus Chatzilus. Of the Chemshek Russia, now as we go along, we start explaining this more. She is Boyer Shom Aliyas Malchus Derek Klal. Over there, it's talking about the elevation of Malchus, just talking about it. So whenever it says that phrase, the Malchus, that part that goes down into Atzilus, into Bria rather, that's talking about these 9 Malchus. So let's go over here, number Mendal. The Boyer Ich Atesha Malchus and Nikra Derek Stam Malchus Atzilus. Now we're going to explain this. How it is they go into Olam Atzilus. So he says the word Baruch. Kavardis of the Sefer HaTikunim in Shnei Kriyos. So there's 2 different bowings that we do during the bracha. Shetzarech l'chro b'kol bracha, that every time there's a bracha here, you have to, not every single bracha. Let's see what he says. So he says that you have to bow down on every bracha. And also that is bow down twice, and also to raise yourself up twice, the Zecha Bi'urim. So this is their explanation, and we're going to get into this more. This is a basic part of the Kavanos that we do at this time. Let me see what my light is like. It's not too good. Let me see if I can make it brighter. It's as bright as it goes. So I'm a little bit in the dark over here, but hey, that's the way it goes. Number Mamdal. So here we are on number Mamdal. Number Mamdal reading the light print. He said, "B'dikudi zower, muva ha'inyu tzarg shtei kriyos v'shtei zekifos." That it's necessary to bow twice and it's necessary to rise up twice. From a pasuk that with the pasuk b'mayim result that we're going to get from the rabbis. So it's a reminder they're going to bring up. Kol korecha korea b'baruch. He says anyone who bows to the baruch. Zoke b'shem. So when you say Yud Kei Vav Kei, Baruch Atah Hashem, you come up. Sheyesh shtei kriyos v'shtei zekifos. But he says in that space, there's two different times you bow and two different times you raise yourself up. Okay, I'll go for that. So let's go to the next one. So he says, let me see, number mem hey. B'kol arba kriyos v'zekifos shebetfilas amida. Yesh b'kol achas mechem shtei kriyos dahainach b'kriyos aguf v'kriyos arosh. That each one of them has two different kriyos within it. Excuse me, I think I read it right. Yesh b'kol achas is, in other words, there's two kriyos, two zekifos. Each one of them has two. Shtei kriyos dahainach b'kriyos aguf v'kriyos arosh. That you have to first bow down the body, and then you bow down the head. The same thing when you come up. That's the way that the Rav learns how we're supposed to daven. So he said, but kriyas with zakifos elo. So with this kriyas and the zakifos, heim kadei la'halos hanuk. What is the reason why we're doing this? We're doing this because we're understanding that the nuk is not in its silus. That is, the malchus of its silus is in bria. So he says, in order to bring those aspects of the nuk back into its silus. Then we're talking about the 9 malchus that go down to Bria. And they go into their place, and then they come back into their place in Etzilus. As the Nuk, so he says like this, in order to elevate the Nuk, you have to bring her, you have to pour Shefa into her. So how does that work? Well, we understand that first you have to bring the shefa into Zeranpin. The Misham Doichim Shefa, the Bria, so there from that position, then you push the shefa into Bria, so that there will be strength in the Nuk, the Alos Bebria Lotzilus, to come out of Bria into Etzilus. Now, for those of you who understand this or learned a little bit, there's probably not too many people that have ever had a course really starting out to say what you do in the Kriya Shema, but it's not, I mean, in the Amida, what are these bowings all about? Well, the purpose, he says, of the bowings is to reach down and bring Shefa into the Nuk and to bring her back up. It doesn't happen at one time or even 2 times. It has to happen at 4 times every time that we're going through the bowing process. So he said, so all this happens. Feeding the Nuk while she's in Bria is through the bowings and the risings up. Kamoshi is bar l'cholon, and we're going to get into it more. Now let's go to number Mem Vav, which is up here. Let's see how much more we could do. Okay, not too bad. He said, Kriyas HaTefillah. So when we come to the bowings that we do in the Tefillah, there's Avos Techila B'sof. So it happens in Avos at the beginning and the end of Avos. Yeshnei Kriyos, V'shnei Zakifos. So each one of those at the beginning and at the end has 2 bows and 2 erections. Standing erect. So Shema B'sov Masha Amro, like that pasuk that we said, Kol HaKorea B'Baruch, V'Kol HaZokeh Zakot B'Shem. B'sov Shnei Kriyos. So this is the secret of 2 times we bow. Yud L'Gabe K. So what happens is when we do the bowing, we're taking the letter Yud and we're bringing it down by the letter K. Or L'Gabe K, a different K, or L'Gabe K, or excuse me, Vav L'Gabe K. So we take a Yud, we're trying to bring it to the K, the Vav L'Gabe the K, the Sod Shnei. So this is what happens in the Kriya. So I'll say it again. As a Kifos, L'Gabe Vav, so Hey L'Gabe Vav. So then when you're coming back up, you take the Hey, which is down below, and bring it up to the Vav. And then you bring the Hey, which is up above that Vav, which is the first Hey, and you bring it over to the Yud. This is the intermixing concept that happens there. So this same process happens with each one. So also you see this in other places where we see the Kifas and the Kriyos. Now, let me get a little bit more here because this is helpful to me and I want to see a little bit better. So he says, Kavanasa b'techidas habrocha, b'techidas habrocha, b'baruch atah Hashem de birchas avos. So let's just talk about that. V'siyam b'birchas avos b'baruch atah Hashem de magen Avraham. So those are two completely different brachos. Behind the shekol kriya v'zekifa b'hem hem shnayim, that all of the bowing downs and all of the risings up we're talking about are two. Kriyas haguf or kriyas harosh. So when you say that they're going to bow down on Baruch, we're talking about two different bowing downs in that one place. V'chein zekifas haguf. So also, when you're going to say the word yud kei vav kei, so you're going to bring the body up, it's not going to be one time. First the guf and then the rosh. So that's an idea that I need to go over and I need to say, and we said it. Harav zechad v'lamed medikduk maimer chazal. So he looked carefully at what the rabbi said. Sha'amar kol ha-korea b'baruch. What does he mean? Every bowing has to be bowed on the word baruch. Shahasod b'divreichem. So the secret of what he's saying, of those words here, she'tzarak la'aso shtei kriyos, that every time that you're going to say baruch, you're going to have to do two different bowings. Kriyas haguf or kriyas harosh. Now this is this important idea. So if you ever see someone who's using a Rishash sitter or davening according to the ARI, you're going to see they're going to bow down at a certain place, but only the body, and then the head comes after that. So when you say Yud Kei Vav Kei, so what's that supposed to be over there? That's supposed to be that you start coming up, but you don't come up just one time. Just like those stage sekifos, they have to be two different times that you make yourself direct. Haguf, that is Zekifas Haguf, Zekifas Harosh, they have two sections. Now he says, so why are we trying to do this? What are we trying to get out of these complicated Kriyas and Zekifos? The Hamshech Shefel al Yedei Hashem Avaya is to take the name Avaya, which is a name of mercy, Rahmanas, with love and kindness. He says that to take that name, which is also the name of balance, Ki Shem Avaya hu Kuma Shlema, it's a complete column by itself, Shekal HaSfirot Nechlalim, that has all of the rest of Sfiros inside of it. So we understand you have the Yud, which is Chochma. You could go and dissect the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. So when we talk about the mochim, this is the head, we're talking about the first two letters of the Yud Kei Vav Kei Sheb'Shem Avaya. V'aguf would be the Vav, Vav Aleph Vav Sheb'Shem Avaya. V'hei Achrone would be the Malchus. So you made a little quick dissection of it. So now, when you're going to start bowing down your head, Yesh l'kaven l'hamshek yud l'gabe k. So the idea here is that you're going to take the yud because you're on the top of your head, right? So the head's going to go down first, and it's going to go to the k rishon of a kriyas haguf. Then when you bow the body down, yesh l'kaven l'hamshek vav alav vav. That is the vav. I just said the vav of the yud k vav k. L'gabe the hey achron the shehi malchus. L'kan bebir hachriyo. So here, as we're explaining the bowing down. So he's not really being specific here to write it according to the exact order. Because really the way that it goes is the first thing you do is you bring the bottom part together. Now this is a concept right here of yichud, of bringing things into oneness. And then after that. So let's look at number mem test. So also when you're rising up. Yesh the kavah ben skifas aguf. So first you start off with the kavana of the skifas aguf. So to bring the body up of the l'schuf hey achrona the gabe vav, and that's going to bring the bottom hey. That's the malchus, which is at the bottom of everything. You're bringing it up. You're going to bring it up to the vav. Sheb'Shem Avaya. So he says, well, if it's zakifas arosh, then you're going to lift up the head. You're going to have the idea of the l'skufa hey rishona the gabe yud behind the shebechrius shebechrius. That what's happening is that when we're bowing down, horadna hashefa kadei l'seis ba'koach la'alos. So the idea is that we're bringing it down, so that what's down below it, the recipient, which is the malchus, is going to be able to have the strength to come up. Then you come to the zakifas on the ma'alim. So that's actually bringing the shefa up, or bringing the the spheros from down below and the olamos below, up. When you say that phrase, the Techilas Birchas Avos is the very beginning. V'chein bebaruch atah Hashem the Mogen Abraham, also that one. We call Echem Bechem Yesh Shtei Chriyos. Each one of them has two bows. V'shtei Zakifa. V'so Mavsha Amar Chazal, like the rabbis say, Kol HaKorea Korea B'bar V'kol HaZokas Gekabul B'Shem. One more. V'chein bebaruch atah Hashem Hatov Amed Hatov Shibachol. Yesh Gam Kain Osa Seder D'Shtei Kriyos V'Shtei Zakifa. So we're going to see that also at the end of the Shemona Esrei, and we're getting a little bit of an idea of what's going on over here. This is Baruch at the Tikkun Elevator Kolel. This is the drush on the Amida called Avos.